Nebraska-Iowa District is reaching a great milestone, 100 years. And I'm very proud that I've been part of that history of the Nebraska-Iowa District for the last 64 years. Been a member of the Fremont Kiwanis Club since 1956, and it's certainly been quite a trip, and something I've been very proud of, and to say that I've been a member of the Fremont Kiwanis Club. It's a very good club. They've done a lot of things for Fremont, for youth and for community activities. My father was a member of the Kiwanis Club. He wasn't one of the charter members, but very early on he became member of the club and was president I think in 1928 at the age of 34, and just coincidentally when I became president of the club, I happened to be 34 years of age. My Kiwanis experience started quite a while before I actually joined the club. Back when I was 10 or 11 years old, the U.S. Postal Service decided that they needed a raise in their fees, and mailing of the Kiwanis Buzz was going to go from 1.5 cents to 3 cents. And in their ultimate decision that they made, they thought maybe we could find some young guy that we can maybe take advantage of. But anyway, I became the deliverer of the Kiwanis Buzz down in the downtown area and within the confines of Fremont. I had about 70 bulletins to deliver, and I got 2 cents. So the Kiwanis Club saved 70 cents a week. I got paid about every 2 or 3 months, and that was a pretty good sum of money, so I felt like I really had a big job. Anyway, it was a time that I got to meet many of the members of the Kiwanis Club at that time and got to know them, going into their offices and whatnot. That was a great experience, but in 1956 when I joined, the Fremont Club at that time had, for many years, it had a limitation of the number of members. I think it was around 90 members, because if they would, again, from a monetary standpoint, if they went over 90, they get into another category for international for dues payment. So they wanted to keep it under 90, and they always had a waiting list. There was a very active member in the club at the time that I joined, and he decided that they wanted to build the club even beyond that. Before that also, there was a limitation on the members and what their business was. They didn't want more than one lumber dealer, they didn't want more than one dentist and whatnot, all down the line. And of course, at that time, women were not even considered as being potential members. But anyway, the year that I joined, there were quite a number of other members that joined. I remember that I think there was at least 5 of us that came in at one time. So that was my first experience with Kiwanis. At that time, we were really active in YMCA and youth activities. There was a club called the Rinky Dinks, which was established by the Kiwanis Club. Much earlier than that. I think it had been going for many, many years the time I joined. And they sponsored that club for many years. As time went by, a big activity that the Kiwanis Club got into, there always seemed like sometimes we get into more than we can chew at times. But there was a youth camp on the big island here next to Fremont called Camp Christian, and it belonged to the Christian church. But the camp was failing, and the church wanted to get rid of it. So here we come. Here comes the Kiwanis Club. They said this would be a great project to do. So we did buy Camp Christian. At that time, there was an active member that really worked, his name was Don Beach. I'd say he's very similar to our current president, Don Cunningham. He just felt that the club ought to be doing something every minute, every day, every week. But anyway, he was the director of that camp. Unfortunately, Don, about a year later, died of a sudden heart attack. And I happened to be the vice chairman of his committee. So you know what happened there. I took charge of Camp Kiwanis, and we kept that going for about another 2.5 years before that job really just got too big for me and too big for the club. And that time I think we sold it back to the YMCA. Some of the highlights of my experience, I look back, probably one of the biggest highlights that I remember was the year I became president and was able to go to the International Convention in New York City. That was really a great experience, an experience for my wife, a life experience for my wife. One of the speakers, motivational speakers at the International Convention that time was a young man by the name of Norman Vincent Peale. And over the years, I think my wife collected every bit of his books or periodicals, whatever he had. She became a big fan of him, and I also. And that was probably one of the most impressionable times of my life. I've been extremely proud of this club. I can't imagine there's no competition as such, but I would just venture to guess that Fremont Kiwanis Club has done more for youth activities and community activities than any other service club in Fremont. And most recently, through our leadership, we've done many things. The last that I think of right now is not completed yet is the playground at our splash station in Fremont, which I believe it's in excess of $200,000 that I think the Kiwanis Club is almost totally responsible in raising that. Another thing that I'm very proud of, and I was unaware of that, but I guess the reason that I'm here, that I've been found out to be the longest consecutive or continuous member of a Kiwanis Club that's alive, I guess, at this point in the Nebraska-Iowa District. I don't know if that's a particular honor, but I'm certainly glad to be at that point and be healthy and whatnot. And I guess nobody's going to beat me as long as I continue to pay my dues every year. I think it's really important that we continue all the things that we're doing and all the community activities and youth activities that we promoted over the first 100 years. Let's get busy and start working on the next 100 years.